It's Changhoff.
Yeah, we can be chilling. Okay, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Changhoff Pod. I'm your host, Jacob. This is your host.
I'm your host, AJ.
Everything that we do and everything that we make from this podcast comes directly from your support, and we couldn't do it without you. I love what I do. Now let's get into it. So today we're doing a little Q&A episode. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
Go ahead.
So today...
Sorry, I said go ahead. I was trying to think of a cute way to be like, and one way you can support us is by asking us questions, because it gives us stuff to talk about.
We asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions, and we got quite a few. So I'm excited for this. Let's get straight into it. So today we have a Q&A. We wrote all of the questions down onto pieces of paper, and we put them in this little treasure chest. So we're going to just take turns one by one. I think, AJ, I'll ask you the first question.
Yeah, ask me the first question.
All right. I'll just randomly pick one. Okay. I accidentally picked two.
Oh, just one is fine.
All right. From @CEO Doc. Vaughn, what's up, my guy? He asked, what are things you think hold you back the most?
What holds me back the most, or the podcast? How should we? Or maybe we could do both.
I guess this is a question for us as podcast
I guess we gotta
hosts.
answer together.
But I want to hear your answer, and then I'll give my answer.
What holds me back? I think recently, maybe what's been holding me back a little bit is getting distracted from the fundamental long-term stuff in the pursuit of the short-term exciting things. So, like, I think the past week, 2 weeks, I've been having a lot of fun making beats and, like, making little visualizers. I made a little visualizer for the post actually asking for these questions. And I've been having a lot of fun doing that, which I haven't been making beats consistently for a long time, but I've been having a lot of fun with that, and, like, you know, just being up late making beats, like playing bass, doing remixes and mixes, whatever. But then sometimes I spend a lot of time on that stuff, and then it's like, oh, I'm not really working out, I'm not really journaling, I'm not really scheduling in the fundamental long-term stuff. So I guess maybe that's something holding me back at the moment, is trying to keep the time open for the self-care, for the taking care of the body and mind stuff. Because long-term, that's what's going to allow me to be able to do all the other fun stuff, is just taking care of my own well-being.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, what do I feel is holding me back? I definitely relate with you on the not taking time for the fundamentals, because I've also been slacking on like working out, or I used to go on walks every day, but now I always like make the excuse that it's just like too hot to go on a walk. So I think an extension to what you have said is that just petty excuses have been holding more weight than they should, and I also haven't been focusing on the fundamentals. But when it comes to the podcast, I think something that I feel isn't holding me back, but is something that is in my mind, is also kind of a fundamental, like keeping the fundamental show like good and making sure that we, are constantly getting better. I think that I have personally been slacking when it comes to some things like simple things like doing a clap sync at the beginning, or remembering to take a picture for the thumbnail. Just like little things like that like slip my mind, and then at the end of it when I'm like, fuck, we needed that.
Yeah, like losing track of the fundamentals.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I think that's my answer.
I want to give my answer from the perspective of the podcast too, because my answer was for me personally, but I think for the podcast, one thing I've been reframing a little bit recently, I was telling you the other day about the Sides interview I saw where she was talking about with her content, making content towards a specific goal rather than some metric like views or saves or. And in her case, her goal was to work with music tech companies. So she was making content about Logic Pro, about like Audio Technica software, and targeting those brands. I think for me, one of my goals with this podcast is to connect with people, and collaborate with people. Those words have been kind of ringing around. Connect as far as like just meeting someone and starting a relationship with them, then also connect as far as like connecting on a deeper level of kind of understanding their mindset and what they do and why they do it, where they've been, where they're going. And then, collaborate in terms of just the conversation, but then also like projects outside of the podcast.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I think that's going to be a more important measurement than whatever kind of watch time or views or followers is. Like, can we have a really thoughtful conversation with either each other or somebody else where we're able to like connect with ourselves and each other, and especially in the case of, I guess, like collaborate on some kind of product or art or content or
I'm right there with you with that. My favorite thing about this podcast is being able to talk with people and share their story and help them share their story in the best way that we possibly can. And we were on the phone last night. Let me pull it up on my laptop because it was so good and I don't want to miss it. We were on the phone last night and you said connecting compatible collaborators. And that really struck a chord with me. I thought that was, not only is the alliteration great.
I didn't realize you wrote it down.
I did. I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget it. Not only is the alliteration great, but I think that's perfectly sums up our shared goal with this podcast is to consistently collaborate with cool people.
Yeah, well, that phrase too came in a conversation we were having about me talking about potentially being management or representation for artists, producers, like people working in music. And I was talking about my thought that I would like to be in a position where I'm not incentivized to be a gatekeeper in the way that sometimes managers and agents and labels are, where they're kind of holding a contact book as something that's valuable. Like for me, I would like to be able to just connect to people and then be able to, or to, even more, but like connect an artist and a producer that are compatible and they can work on stuff and like have a good time and make good stuff. And then they don't even need me anymore necessarily because now they know each other, like they have a good relationship. But I guess a podcast is a way where, you can have someone tell their story, introduce them, like hopefully help them find some connections and some collaborators to be able to do whatever path they're on. But all right, next question.
Yeah, next question. That was a good question. Thanks, Vaughn.
Yeah, thanks, Vaughn. This one is from at Kurta.mp3. My friend Kurta. He said, "When are you coming to SF?" I don't know, Karan. I gotta plan a trip at some point.
San Francisco is one of my favorite places in the United States that I've been to. It's insanely beautiful, and there's just something about the air in California that is just different. I don't know what it is. There's like an electricity to it. There's a freshness to it. There is inspiration in the air. So it's just a beautiful place. I would love to go.
Also,
Changhoff to San Francisco would be great.
Yeah, I'll just ask too. I guess we're both invited because I know I've been invited. But if you ask this to the Changhoff account, I guess that means we're both going. Go do a podcast with
Kurta.
With Kurta.
Thanks for the invite, Kurta. We'll be there. I don't know when, but we'll plan something.
Season 2 or maybe season 3.
It's crazy to believe that the half the year is already gone.
Yeah.
So I would say that I would love to try to go by the end of this year, but I don't know. We might be cutting it close.
We'll see. Yo, what if we go on tour?
I would love to do a Changhoff tour. Anyway, we could talk about that later. Okay, next question.
San Francisco at some point.
Thank you.
Where
Thank
are you putting
Kurta.
the done ones over there?
Yeah, over here. Okay, AJ.
Yeah.
From at Outlandish the Poet. Hey, Outlandish.
Hey, Outlandish.
Where do you see the platform in 2 years?
Where do you see the platform in 2 years? Okay, so 2026? June of 2026.
Yeah.
Dang. In 2 years. I mean, we're almost wrapped up with season 1. I think season 1 has been a lot of bringing on our friends. A lot of... I think the theme this season has been, like, for me personally, kind of returning to Tampa and, like, reacquainting myself with the creative scene here, with just, like, people, in our generation, kind of finding what they're going to do, finding what kind of path they're going to take. And I think definitely the next couple years, I'm interested in being in Tampa, in the Bay Area, and engaging with the scene, like trying to build a community where we can all support each other and build something. I think build something distinctive, like build something where somebody can visit from another part of the U.S. or visit from another country and be like, oh, this is a really cool, distinctive thing. They go see like a show or an event or some of the cool like local businesses. But then also like traveling around, seeing what other people got going on. I think maybe in 2 years, we joked about a tour, but maybe even a tour of just like going, and it doesn't even need to be venues, I don't think, or like theaters. Like it could just be
outside.
It could just be like people's apartments, like our friends in different cities.
Yeah.
We just like drive around the country and like stop at their apartment and have a podcast with them, and then like hang out for a couple days and then go to the next city.
Yeah.
That could be fun. I think platform though makes me think of like what kind of platform are we building, and who are we bringing onto it. And I think I'm coming back to those words of building connections and finding collaborators. I think if this podcast becomes about a certain topic, it would be about that, because I think that's something that everybody needs to find at some point. Or maybe you don't need to, but I think it's something a lot of people are looking for, of how can I connect with others, how can I connect with myself, and especially for people who make things, how can I find collaborators, how can I develop fulfilling, productive relationships with collaborators. So I think bringing on people who have interesting things to say about that, and us personally learning about what that looks like, and just continuing to like have good conversations and tell people's stories and highlight voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Platform. I really like the fact that he used platform. He's so good at writing questions. His pen is very specific, and I love it. In terms of platform, the first thing that my brain went to was like milestones. In 2 years, from this current moment, we would have been past like 20 episodes past our 100th episode, which I know is something.
Like 120.
Yeah, like we'd be at like 120 in 2 years. And that's really exciting to think about, that if we continue doing it every week, which I have already committed to, so I definitely see that being.
Yeah, we're there.
That the 100th episode is going to be very special to me. Not only just because like it's a cool milestone to hit, but I know that we have like some cool plans for the 100th episode, like things that we want to do, like throw a big party and invite all the people that we've had on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even down to do that before 100.
Yeah, we're doing that now for season 1. We're throwing a little party. But anyway, besides that, we'd be like, that's what goes on my head. I go, okay, we hit the 100 milestone. And platform, I like what you said, that it's like connecting with people and creating relationships and like doing something cool here in Tampa. I do agree with that. And I think that in 2 years, the Changhoff podcast is going to be our smallest project.
Yeah.
I think that the other things that we're working on and the platform that we're building, is going to far exceed the reach of this platform or this podcast. And I think that this podcast is going to just continue to be like this very special thing that we do on a consistent basis, where we just sit down and we either have conversations with each other or have conversations with cool people, and use that so we can personally connect with people in a cool and meaningful way.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like the idea of this podcast too being like kind of a behind the scenes look into our thought process in other things we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe somebody is engaged with some work that one of us, they're engaged with like Tampa SoCal, or they're engaged with
Citrus Sound,
or like some kind of project we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they're like, oh, like who are these people? Like, what do they do? How do they think about this? And then the podcast can kind of be like that last level where somebody goes, it's not really like a product meant for, we're not solving a specific problem. We're not, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. That was a great question. Thanks, Outlandish.
Thanks, Outlandish. Okay,
Next.
so I take one now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the third one. So yeah, you go.
Okay. J-Dog Malice 99.
Yeah.
What's up, J-Dog?
What's up, J-Dog?
Says or asks, who are your biggest inspirations when it comes to question style?
Interesting. Okay. So I guess I'll just say the main podcast that I listen to, which I feel influence me and how I want to go about being a host of this podcast, is Tim Ferriss. Is one. I think he asks great questions. Chris Williamson from the Modern Wisdom podcast. A little bit of Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan is just a really interesting guy. I don't think he asks like the most insightful or pointed questions, but he definitely knows how to keep a conversation running fluently. I'd say those are my biggest inspirations when it comes to how I ask questions and how I listen and how I speak on the podcast, because I try to make it a very intentional thing to remove likes, be a little bit more thoughtful and patient with how I speak and how I ask questions.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know if my style of, so this is a question about interviewing, I feel like, and like how, I guess where that comes from, like if we have inspirations for what is biggest inspiration when it comes to question style. I want to, like, the person that comes to mind is maybe Nardwar, but I don't know if I interview in a way that's similar to Nardwar. I think.
What about Nardwar?
I think what I appreciate about Nardwar is the moments in Nardwar interviews, and there's so many of these moments where Nardwar asks a question, and you can tell by their reaction they've never been asked this question before. And I think that's got to be fun for the person being interviewed, because especially if you're someone who's like promoting an album or a movie and you're doing an interview every day and all these people are asking the same questions, you got to be on autopilot, you got to get tired of it. And then for somebody to be like, so you went to Bob's Chicken Shack when you were 4 years old, what kind of sauce did you have? And they're like, oh. And it doesn't even have to be like FBI level investigation questions, but just something silly that they haven't heard before. I think that's something. I would say Tim Ferriss too. I think Tim Ferriss is a great example of somebody who is just very well researched about the guest, but then also just about the world in general, and seems like it puts a lot of prep into preparing for an interview, like having a lot of background. Yeah, that's all I got.
I agree.
Yeah.
Nardwar for sure. I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't have come up with Nardwar immediately, but I do like Nardwar's interviews. A part of what he does is give people presents
Yeah.
throughout interviews, and that's something that I don't
Yeah, that
necessarily
too,
have
yeah.
the resources to do right now, but it's definitely something that has that is in my radar in terms of things that I want to do in the future with future guests is maybe not like give them a ton of presents, but have like one little thing that we can give them on the show or that I want to give them on the show. But also the two of them, Nardwar and Tim Ferriss, I agree are also super well researched, and I try my best to do the same thing. Maybe not be super duper research onto someone because they are just our friends. We already pretty much know a lot about them, but be properly prepared and try to ask those questions that they don't get asked very
I
often.
have another one too. I just thought of.
Go ahead.
I really like this interview style of Annabelle Klein. She's like a music journalist. I think she started with playlists and got more into interviews and like hosting events. But she'll interview an artist, and it has this vibe where it's very casual, very just like fun, silly, and it's people that she's genuinely a big fan of. So she's asking about like cuts from their older albums and about like a specific lyric on a specific song, and it's definitely coming from a place of being a big fan of the artist, and they can just like kind of be silly and have a cool conversation. I think a lot of people take the role of an interviewer as something serious, but it can also be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a fan of the person's work, and you have genuine curiosity and excitement and enthusiasm about asking them the questions. And I get that feeling from a lot of Annabelle Klein's interviews.
Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, J-Dog. Thanks, Jordan, for the question. That was a great one. All right, next question. Let's put one from the bottom. At VY Estate. What's up, VY?
What's up, you?
Thanks for the question. What's y'all favorite thing to do to relax?
I guess I'll go first. My favorite thing to do. Do you have something that comes to mind?
Watch YouTube.
Yeah.
I love watching YouTube. That's how I relax. That's how I unwind after a hard day at work. And yeah, that's mine.
I like walking the dogs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
I also like to take a nice walk every now and then. I used to walk every day. That was like a very fun, sacred time for me. Now it's a little bit too hot, or that's at least my excuse. But
You do walk every day. A little bit.
yeah, that's true.
You gotta, unless you're just in bed for 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I think you walk every day.
Recently, to unwind before bed, this has been like my nighttime routine. Right, take a shower. I like brush my teeth.
Wait, this is a little off topic, but I'm just noticing we're almost at 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And we still got.
Yeah, we have a ton of questions.
So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
let's
I know.
focus on.
All right. How this is my unwind like nighttime routine recently, and it's been great.
Okay.
So, take a shower, brush my
Shower.
teeth, floss, mouthwash, get all nice and clean. Then I go into my room, and my girlfriend just gave me a shiatsu like massager thing that you put on like the back of a chair, and I sit in that chair and I get massaged for 15 minutes and I read a book.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
That sounds
I'll
really
read the
nice.
book on my Kindle, and then that ends, and then I go and lay down in bed. I maybe read a couple more pages of my book until I'm like, okay, I'm tired, and then I go to sleep. And that's been a
Wow.
great way to unwind.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah. Also, I have this massage gun, and I've been using that to massage my feet while I'm sitting in the
Whoa.
chair. Yeah, it's incredible time. Incredible
Wow.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big thing that comes to mind is walking the dogs, just because it gives me a break from what I'm doing. It gets me away from a screen, and it feels nice because I know it's good for me and it's also good for them, especially if they're cooped up in the house and they haven't been out much.
Mm-hmm.
They love it, man. They love just trotting around town.
Love the dogs. Thanks, VY. Great question.
Appreciate you.
All right, it's your turn.
Okay.
Drum roll, please. Let's go.
This one is from In All Seriousness, aka Yemi.
What's up, Yemi?
Hey, Yemi. Yemi asks, I've heard only 26% of podcasts have over 10 episodes. How does it feel to have made it this far? We made it! Yeah, so this will be episode 20.
Yeah.
And I think you've read somewhere that 1% of podcasts make it to episode 20.
21.
21. Oh,
I don't know why specifically 21, but yeah, 21.
So we've made it to the top 1% of podcasters by episode number, I guess. How does it feel? It feels... In some ways, I don't feel like... Oh, wait, I asked it, but then I started answering. Do you want to
Go
start
ahead, finish your answer.
Yeah, I'll just... I think the biggest feeling I have about doing a podcast for 20 weeks in a row is that I think I've really enjoyed the process of having a deadline where we need to put something out, regardless of how good it is or how many ideas we have or if we have a guest booked or if we have a... Just being able to remove the element of waiting on inspiration or waiting on scheduling or waiting on having something to talk about or waiting on finding a theme. Or I think just doing it, and I do think at some point later on we'll find more of a focused topic that we talk about consistently and it'll become a podcast about blank. But I think using the podcast to discover what that even is. And now I feel like I want to apply that to other things where, like, maybe with music, like maybe I should just put out a song every so often, regardless of if I feel like it's any good or if it's mixed well or if it's mastered or if even just to put it out just to kind of explore what kind of stuff I want to make and send it to people and get feedback and find collaborators. And it's definitely affirmed the value of just posting something.
Yeah,
for me,
I agree. The consistency, the having something to do every week. There was even, I forget who I got this from, but there was someone that was saying, like, just sit down and record a podcast with a friend every week, and that'll just like help your life be better, even if you don't actually record it or put it out or anything like that. Just like having a set time to like sit down and talk with a good friend is just like special good time for the heart and the health. And so that's cool, knowing that, like, oh yeah, like we do that. And I do find I do really look forward to Changhoff Day recording and also having that deadline to put it out, and seeing the catalog build is very, what's the word, inspiring, and it's just cool. And also I feel like it's opened up so many doors just having a podcast that I didn't think would be open.
Yeah.
And creating relationships with people that I don't think I would have necessarily had the chance to have a relationship with by like bringing them on the show or talking to them about the show or whatnot.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to have come this far? I feel great. I'm super duper happy that we've made it to episode 20. I'm super happy that we're about to end season 1 on like a really cool note, and I'm really excited for season 2 already.
Yeah.
I got one at Sage the Herb, aka Hassan. What's up, Hassan?
What's up, Hassan?
Thanks for asking a question. He asked, what are projects halfway through the year that you guys think deserve to be on everyone's radar? Could be art, food, music, etc.
Do you want to give an answer first?
Sure. Projects that I think should be on everyone's radar. Good question. The Changhoff podcast, for sure. Citrus Sound Radio, for sure.
You're just gonna plug all the stuff you worked on.
Yeah, exactly. Citrus Sound Radio, Changhoff Podcasts, Tampa SoCal, Was Here Coffee, and music that I've liked that people I think should be on everyone's radar. I really have been enjoying El Snapo's music. I think he's great, and I think he should be on everyone's radar. There's this other guy that I just found out about recently. His name is Tyte, Tyte. He makes good music. Another Tampa artist that I just found out about recently is Lil Boy Page. Page, I think. Lil Page. He makes great music. Let's see. Taz Money. He's been slowly blowing up in the Tampa scene, but he also makes really good music that I believe should be on everyone's radar. Someone who hasn't released music in a while is Loco J, and I think he should be on everyone's radar. I think he's extremely talented, and I can't wait for him to get out of jail so he can start making more music and really take that seriously. I'll just end it there.
Okay, the question is, what projects do you think deserve to be on every? I didn't interpret that as like an album by an artist could be a project. I guess. What project should be on everyone's radar? I don't know. Because, like, even this podcast, like, I don't think this is something that I think should be on everyone's radar. Like, I think it's a pretty small audience that'll enjoy it at all. But I feel like I got to think about this one. It is making me think, like, I want to work on a project where that can be the answer to this question. Like, I want to do something that I feel so good about the concept and the idea that somebody asked me this and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing I'm doing should be on your radar because it's big or it's good. I don't know. I think everyone should be looking forward to the Better Together pop-up on July. I forgot the date. It's in July at Bandit in St. Petersburg.
Yup.
There's going to be food, and I'm actually not sure of the details, but there'll definitely be food and probably other things.
Absolutely. Look forward to that.
Yeah. I feel bad I don't have a good answer to this.
It's okay. Thanks, Hassan.
Thanks, Hassan. Oh, yeah, I just split them out, so...
Yeah, just
like take turns.
Yeah, choose.
Okay, wait, you just went, so I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so I go.
Next question.
Okay. Next question is from Smiller. I think it's S. Miller, but I kind of like saying Smillerain.
Yeah, me too.
Smillerain.
Hey,
up?
Sid.
What's up, Sid?
Hey.
Sid asks, who's the most famous person in your contacts? Let me check.
I think mine for sure is Pusha Preem.
Pusha Preem.
Yeah.
Pusha Preem's...
Shout out to Pusha Preem.
Pusha Preem's big, only getting bigger.
Big and only getting bigger. He's definitely the most famous person in my contact list, for sure.
You know who the biggest person... I'm not even going to look because you know who it is?
Who?
Lil B.
Lil B?
Yeah, somebody leaked his number on Reddit one time.
Boom, perfect. Great answer. Okay, camera has 20% battery left. So,
okay.
Thanks, Sid, for the question.
We could plug it in, too.
Oh, true. No, I think it's better that we put ourselves on a time limit.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Sid, for the question. That was a good one.
All right, Jacob, pull a question out.
From @Jizmanag. Hey, Jasmine. Thanks for the question. What's a song you wish you wrote?
A song I wish I wrote perhaps could be I really like Aretha Franklin, Until You Come Back to Me,
Mm.
which I think was written by Stevie Wonder.
Mm.
Um, I also found out recently that a lot of songwriting Stevie Wonder was doing at that time, he was writing under a pseudonym because he was signed to Motown. So if he wrote a song and it was coming out on a label other than Motown, it would break his contract if he was listed as the writer. So he had some fake name. It was like I don't know. It was like I can't remember what it was, but
The opposite of Stevie Wonder.
Stevie was ghostwriting. So
My song would be "Get Busy" by Yeet.
that's a much better answer. That song is. I mean, they're both good answers, but
They're both good answers, but yeah, something about that bell. But here's a
is
bell.
that the one that song already was turned? But
Here's
here's a
a
bell.
bell, yeah.
Ding.
Yeah, I wish I wrote that. That's incredible. That's a classic
Yeah.
song that is gonna stand the test of time. Yeah, that was my answer.
Nice.
Thanks, Jazz.
All right, next question.
Big J. Next question.
All right, we got another one from Yemi. What have you learned about podcasting and creating content in general since you began podcasting?
I have learned that producing a podcast and a video podcast are not very difficult. It doesn't require a ton of equipment, and it is very portable, and it gives me a lot of great ideas of things that we can do, and also has shown me to not be intimidated by audio production.
Nice. I think the biggest thing I've learned is I feel like the best way to create any kind of audio video content, especially conversational, for me has been to prioritize the experience of the people in the room and the thing happening in the room and then capturing it. I think it makes it easier, it makes it more sustainable, it makes it more fun to focus on the thing that's happening in the real world and then capture it instead of thinking about how to make the digital content the best as possible. I think there are cases where you need to do that, but I think for something like a podcast or anything that's conversational, like you want to focus on the people, make sure they're comfortable, make sure they're having a good time, and then capture like the recording can be a side effect. Like with this podcast, honestly, even if we didn't record it, there's so many benefits just as far as the conversations we have between ourselves and with others, the joy and the conversational skills that come from just having a long form, thoughtful, intentional conversation. And yeah, and then the content will get better over time because like you're developing skills, you're learning about the production. Yeah, but I think taking the emphasis off of the product and focusing on the experience.
Very well said.
As well as not focusing on the numbers and focusing on whatever your actual goal is.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that happens when you get 1 million views on something. It's just a number. Like who do you want to see it? Who do you want to make content for? And then make it and then send it to those people. You know, whether it's your friends or your family or people that like cheese or people that don't like cheese. Like
I do not like milk. I do like cheese.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Next question. Thanks, Yemi, for the other
Thanks,
question.
Yemi.
All right, we have another double question from S. Miller Ann, aka Sid.
Smillerine.
What makes Changhoff different from other podcasts? To be honest, not much. Not much. This is very similar to a lot of other podcasts out there. The thing that makes it different is that it's hosted by us.
Yeah.
That's my quick answer. Sorry if that was a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think it's
Our intentions and our goals for this podcast are maybe a little bit different than some other people's. But yeah, I'm not trying to remake the wheel. I'm just trying to make a good podcast and have fun while doing it.
yeah, I think we have a good time making this podcast
Yeah.
to a point that's probably different than a lot of other podcasts where like the correlation between people listening and how much we enjoy it is like not very correlated. Like I think we'll be on like episode 84 and be just having a blast. And it gets like 2 views.
Yeah. I've been very happy with our episodes getting anywhere around like 15 to 20 views. I'm like, oh yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. All right, cool. Thanks, Sid.
Yeah.
Next question. That's you.
We got another one from Jismanag. Jasmine asks, "What's a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?"
Good one. To my younger self, I feel like I have to like separate it into like eras. In middle school, I'd probably give my middle school younger self.
Are you gonna do all of them or pick one?
I'm gonna do middle school and high school.
Okay.
So it'll just be a couple. In middle school, I would give myself the advice to accept compliments as a good thing and not as a box to be put in. It was definitely probably because, I was in middle school and angsty and generally insufferable, as most middle schoolers are. But I definitely think I took that to not unsafe, but
Detrimental.
Yeah.
Maladaptive even.
I took it became detrimental to what I wanted to do because people were telling me, "Oh, you're good at this, you're good at that." And instead of being like, "Oh, I should pursue this," I actually went the opposite way and said, "Oh, these people are trying to put me into a box that I don't want to be in, and I'm going to do the opposite of what they want me to do because I just want to do my own thing." And I think that was very detrimental to things that I would have enjoyed doing and decided not to enjoy it because for no reason. Then for high school Jacob, I would say it's okay to be multifaceted. Because I think I was insecure for a long time, thinking that I was like code switching and just like being slightly different with different types of people. But that's just like how life works. Because it wasn't that I was being ungenuine. Like I was faking I wasn't faking who I was to fit in with certain people. I would just kind of like turn the dials up in different parts depending. And I thought that was really fake for a long time and I was very insecure about that. But realizing now in hindsight that it was still all me. Like I was never being fake. I was just, adjusting the settings a little bit. I think I would have told him that you're not being fake. It's okay. You don't have to be insecure about this certain thing that you do. That's my advice.
That's interesting. Yeah, you had different facets. I think for me it would be to make as many mistakes as you can. I think especially when you're young, if you have the support system and the safety nets to be able to make mistakes, you should take advantage of that. Not to say you should do anything wrong or that you should fail on purpose, but like I think of something like through most of middle school, I was in a game design class for like 2 hours a day every day, and we'd make video games, and I would go on FL Studio and make beats, and then use the beat as the soundtrack for a game, like go download visuals and I would basically do the bare minimum for the project, and then we would all play Halo and Minecraft, and I would make beats on FL Studio. But I think looking back, that's such an opportunity where I could have published my shitty little games, like put them on Newgrounds or Congregate or Addictive Games, or like Flash games were huge at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and we'd have assignments where we would go on the internet and play 10 different Flash games, and we had like a rubric where we would have to write a review for the game and rate it on different categories, and like being in that time, in that environment where it's so safe to fail and you're encouraged to make those mistakes and learn. I think we should take advantage of that, especially in school or in childhood, where the whole purpose of your life at that time is to learn, is to try new things. So whatever you do, I guess this is my advice to my younger self, is whatever you're working on, whether it's like video games or music or art or technology or like the benefits of mistakes at that time outweigh any of the costs and the downsides that come from it. Like whatever you're working on, like put it out, show it to your friends, like try something that you're not sure you're even capable of, just to see you might be more capable than you think you are. Yeah,
Good one. I like that.
Fail while you can.
Fail while you can. All right. Next question. Who was that? That was a good question, Jazz. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thanks, Jasmine.
Okay, next question by Tartar Sauce Jack. He
What's up,
asks, "What's up, Jack?" He asks, "Would you rather be 1 foot tall or 13 feet tall?"
I'm gonna go 1 foot, easy, 1 foot tall.
I'm gonna go 13 feet tall, so I don't have to jump off the ground to dunk a basketball. The rest of my life is gonna be really fucking difficult.
Yeah, that'll be the best part of your day for sure.
Yeah, that'll be it. Insta draft to the NBA.
Wait, how tall is a basketball? Isn't a basketball hoop like 10 feet?
Yeah.
So you'd have to like hunch over to even. You would just drop it.
Insta sign to NBA.
You think so?
Insta. That's an insta lock.
You're gonna be dunking from half court.
Yeah, if it was like if NBA teams could like ban characters, I would be a banned character because I'm so OP, and I would get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit on the bench. Well, most likely it'd be like sit on like a refrigerator or something like that. All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good question. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. That was a good one.
Okay, Yemi asks, what's the hardest part about podcasting?
The hardest part about podcasting is speaking correctly, or in my mind, correctly. And what correctly means to me is removing filler, being pointed, being patient with what I have to say, because there has been many times, especially at the beginning of the podcast, where I'm listening back to the podcast, editing it, and I'm just cringing so hard at everything that I'm saying, because I'm like, you sound terrible. Everything that comes out of your mouth sounds so annoying because of the way that you're saying it, with all these bad habits of speaking. That's my answer.
Dang. Yeah, that's a perspective that's different for us too, because I'm listening to the podcast, but you're editing it, so you're listening to it. You might have to listen to a section multiple times.
Yeah.
To clean up the.
By the time I'm done editing, I've probably listened to the podcast like 3 or 4 times at that point.
Yeah. So you probably have like a more thorough reflection of the way you're speaking and changing the way you speak.
What about you? What's the hardest part about podcasting for you?
I think the hardest part about podcasting is realizing that the focus of the conversation is not what I'm saying or what I want to say, but the conversation. Moving the point of focus from me and my thoughts to the actual conversation we're having, especially when you have a guest and it's 3 or 4 people, because my internal dialogue is going to have all these things pop up about, oh, that reminds me of this story, or oh, I have this question, or oh, these little things that pop up that I want to talk about, but they all need to go through the filter of, okay, what are we all talking about right now? What's the thing that Jacob just said? What's the thing that the guest just said? I think the conversation is usually better served by asking a follow-up question to what somebody just said, as opposed to being like, oh, one time I did that, and I had, even though that's what naturally comes to mind, I think learning to focus on the conversation rather than my own thoughts, which I think has maybe gotten easier over time.
For sure.
I think it comes a little more naturally now.
And there's lots of questions that don't get asked because it just doesn't flow into the conversation.
Right. And I noticed that bleeding into the conversations I have just throughout life, of learning to recognize that impulse to just jump in and say something, and just run it through the filter for half a second of, well, let me just keep listening, or let me just ask a natural follow-up. And even if there's this burning thing I want to ask, like, it's okay to let go of it. I can ask later.
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yummy.
Thanks, Yummy.
All right. Another question by Jasmine. What illegal thing do you wish was legal? Psychedelics.
That's a good one. That's a good answer.
I'm not super informed, but I feel like I'm informed enough to say that overall, the science has said that psychedelics are overall not very harmful for humans compared to the positive effects that they have, especially when you compare them to things like alcohol, or cocaine, heroin, weed even.
Honestly, just alcohol. Like, if you compare any drug to alcohol
is terrible for you.
I
think alcohol is the worst thing for you.
In any way that you can measure health effects, like economic effects, like.
So that's my answer. Psychedelics. What about you?
Well, I'll follow up on that first and just drop some. So, like, there are some ketamine treatments that are legal now. There's like a ketamine injection therapy and a ketamine esketamine nasal spray that's administered for people with treatment-resistant depression. That is legal. It's kind of expensive right now, I think, which is the biggest barrier. And then the clinical trials for MDMA as a treatment for PTSD is in the final stages. So that'll be something that'll become more widely available. There's like some early studies on psilocybin. But yeah, that seems like something that is kind of happening rather slowly and like with a lot of administrative barriers. But something illegal that I wish was legal. What's illegal? What's a law I want to break? I don't know. I don't typically have a big desire to break.
When you put it that way, I wish speeding was legal.
Oh no. I don't know. Even psychedelics too. Like, I'm not sure I would want everything to just be widely available at the moment. I think there's probably. What's illegal that I wanna? I'm gonna have to think about. So many of these questions. I'm gonna think of a better answer later today and be like, damn, I wish I would have said that. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer.
It's okay. We can just agree.
Yeah, I'll just agree with yours.
Sweet. All right. Thanks, Jasmine. That was a good one.
I'll say psilocybin containing mushrooms. That'll be my answer.
Mushrooms containing psilocybin?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of psilocybin containing mushroom?
No, psilocybin containing as an adjective coming before. Like carbonated soda. I'm putting the adjective in front of it.
Okay. Thanks, Jazz. This is another question by Sydney. Do you ever struggle with motivation, especially with creativity? If so, what do you do? Good question. For me, do I ever struggle with motivation? Yes. With creativity, yes. But I think my answer to what do I do for both of them is different. I have found through making this podcast that the biggest thing for creativity for me is consistency. Having the podcast and putting it out every week, I may not be going out of the box every single time for a podcast, but in terms of the flow of creativity through time, I think that the consistency of having something and posting something on a regular basis helps me with my creativity. In terms of motivation, there's just little things, like little things that I do. Like the 2-minute rule is a good one that I try to do sometimes, or the 5-second rule.
What are the 2-minute rule and the 5-second rule?
So the 2-minute rule is anything that you can do in 2 minutes, you should just do right now instead of pushing off to do later. The 5-second rule really helps me getting out of bed. Having like a countdown. I don't know why this works so well. I learned the 5-second rule from Brene Brown. I forget where the 2-minute rule is from. Might also be Brene Brown, but the 5-second rule basically, the example, like getting out of bed for me is quite difficult. And just doing a little countdown, just going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, just get up. That really helps. I don't know why.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Can I see? I just want to see the question to make sure I'm... Do you ever struggle with motivation, especially with creativity? If so, what do you do? Yeah, I would say I struggle with motivation. I think my biggest thought on the idea of motivation is a lot of people will say, I haven't really been writing because I haven't felt like it, or I haven't really been making music because I haven't felt inspired to, or I haven't done this because I haven't felt like doing it, or no, maybe I haven't started a podcast because I don't know what I'm going to talk about. I think the idea of realizing that those two things don't need to come one after another. You can just block out 10 minutes to do a thing, regardless of if you don't have an idea or you don't feel inspired or you don't, and just have that in your schedule and have that window where sometimes nothing will come through that window and it'll just be an empty window. But then once you have that window and you build up that time and that space for this thing to happen, now there's a place where inspiration can come into your life. Yeah. A lot of things, especially creative things, I'm going to relate to music just because that's the thing I've spent the most time on. But I think flipping the order of, I haven't been writing songs because I haven't felt like it. But I think just building up your habit and just building up a surface area as big as you can, so that when the luck or inspiration or random sparks of the universe come near you, they have a bigger space to land on.
Yeah, you already have the fundamentals down. So when you can make a big play and the inspiration strikes, you don't have to worry about all that setup stuff.
Yeah, and don't worry about if it's any good or if people like it or if that's not as important as just doing the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and doing the thing in a way where you can do it, and then after some period of time, you do it again. And then it doesn't even have to be every day. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be every week. It could be once a month. You sit down and work on a creative project. And have fun with it. Invite some friends. Like, maybe ask around, see if anybody else is interested in doing it, and you can get together and do it as a group. And yeah, it reminds me, there's some Warhol quote about make art and don't worry about what people say about it or how they perceive it. And while everyone else is arguing about whether it's good or not, go and make more art. You know,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
That's not exactly how it's phrased, but it's something like
something along those lines.
Make art, and while everyone is arguing about if it's good or not, block all that out and make more art.
Yeah.
And don't worry about if it's good or not. Just make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing you said about having like that routine, that habit of doing something. There's this writer that I follow. His name is Nicholas Cole, and he writes about writing. So people who want to write nonfiction, have a newsletter or fiction or whatever, just writers. His advice was creating an anti-fragile writing habit. And what he means by anti-fragile is you do it, in his example, you do it every day, you write every day. And it doesn't matter if you are on a plane, in a bus, in the back of an Uber, or you're at your desk. Like, the conditions don't have to be perfect, aka they can be anti-fragile, so they don't break when you are not in the perfect writing situation. It's been
so long since I've heard about the idea of anti-fragility, but I remember hearing a lot. I think there's like a Nassim Taleb book it's called Anti-Fragile. But a lot of people would talk about that in crypto, where when you design a network like that, they're trying to imagine every single case in which this network could fail and preventing it. So that's a cool perspective on, like, let's say you want to write, thinking of every reason why you wouldn't be able to, or everything that in the past has kept you from writing, and just think like, okay, well,
I got to write.
Like, I'm traveling. Yeah. Well, okay, do it on your phone, or have a little journal, or have a, like, think of all the reasons why you might not. Or all the reasons why in the past you haven't. Yeah. Nice. I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a question from J-Dog. J-Dog says, if you could rename your creation, what would you name it?
Dang.
Dang?
Dang.
All right. Next question.
You know what dang is? Wait, just to go. You know what dang means? Why, if I would rename Changhoff to Dang, it's just the flip. Denhoff Chang.
Oh, dang. I didn't even get that. Is there an H or no H?
Yeah, an H. Dhang.
Dang.
Dang.
That'll be the next thing we start. Whatever we need a name for it. Go ahead and file the copyright. Okay, the last question. Jizmanag asks, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh. My go-to karaoke song is Big Sad by... Oh, man, why am I blanking on their name right now?
By Mickey Darling?
Yes, by Mickey Darling. Big Sad by Mickey Darling. That is my go-to karaoke song. I sing that shit with my whole heart. I was going to say a different word, but heart is better.
What was the Carole King song we were listening to earlier?
It's Too Late.
Yeah. It's too late. Okay, I can't sing too much. We'll get a strike.
Yeah.
Carole King, It's Too Late is the one that comes to mind.
That's a great song. Great song. I can sing that song word for word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed when it was playing earlier that you did sing every word. You're already ready. You don't even need the words on the screen.
Hell nah.
Dang.
That was the last question.
That's everything.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. This was a really fun podcast. I feel like we really interacted with our fans, our viewers, and answered some really interesting questions and had some really good talks.
Yeah, thank you for our guest. Thank you for our guest today. Box of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to everybody who left a question.
Mm-hmm.
I had fun with this. I would want to do this again.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So start thinking of your question for the next Changhoff Q&A episode. And yeah, we got one more episode in season 1. We'll record that next week. And then I guess we can kind of explain. So, and then I'll be out of town for about a month.
Yeah.
So the plan is, maybe this should be the bonus episode where we explain the plan. Or we could just say it.
Yeah, because no one's going to watch
this. Yeah, so I'll be out of town for about a month. So Jacob is going to do 4 episodes here.
Solo
Well,
dolo.
duo. There's going to be guests.
Yeah, I'm gonna have guests on. I'm gonna try to get some co-hosts.
Yeah.
Some resident co-hosts to come on and do some podcast episodes with me. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
So if you want to be on and be a co-host, hit Jacob up.
Mm-hmm. And then AJ's traveling, and he's gonna do 4 episodes himself.
I'm leaving. I'm moving away. I'm quitting the podcast.
Yeah, and he's gonna be doing some cool.
Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. He's gonna be doing some cool concepts over there, talking to cool people, and doing what he does. I'm really excited to see what you do, bud.
Yeah, I'm going on. I guess I'm kind of going on tour in a way. It's just the Hoff tour, though.
Yeah, the Hoff tour.
Next year we'll have to both go.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a lot of fun if we just went to a bunch of different cities and did episodes.
I agree.
Yeah.
It wasn't in the cards for me this year, but I'm glad that you can go out and be the beta tester.
Yeah, I'll go get it started. I'll go get the party started.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so I'll do hopefully at least 4 episodes. I think I can do at least 4 episodes. And then so those I think will come out once I get back. Those will be the weekly uploads for a bit. And then yeah, I think just continuing to dig in, to connect, to meet people, hear their stories. And then it's starting to I'm already thinking about what's it going to feel like to be done with season 2. You know, and what I want that to feel like.
Yeah, what are our goals?
That's a good question. What are our goals?
Yeah, because I know that you said that earlier in one of the questions. Speaking about Alice, the interviewer Alice, is that her name?
Annabelle Klein.
Yeah, Annabelle Klein. Her
page too is called That Good Shit.
It's
a page called That Good Shit.
Yeah, so go follow Annabelle Klein and That Good Shit. But yeah, what are your goals for season 2 for the podcast?
Season 2 of the Changhoff podcast. I think there's some people I'm thinking of that I want to be on, that I want to make sure to find time with them and be thoughtful about having a good episode with them. I think season 2, I'm more thinking about. I'm thinking about the conversation that we have on the podcast, but also thinking about people we want to collaborate with in general, whether it be doing video production with them or maybe working on some kind of content for them, and trying to think about how the podcast can be a way that we develop a relationship that lives beyond the podcast. You know, whether it be somebody we're friends with that we want to collaborate with, or somebody that we're collaborating with that we want to be better friends with.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, like for example, this Jack was just on, and we made a little short that will come out one of these days, and something like that. You were mentioning too, what's the book called? Unreasonable Hospitality?
Yes, Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guayarda.
I think being more hospitable to the guests. Not that we're not, but just being intentional about them having a good experience. as far as the experience of recording the podcast itself, as far as the kind of content that comes from it, and being able to
share that with them.
And yeah, like just that can be a way that they engage with their friends or their audience, or and then making more thoughtful, specific content based on who the person is and what kind of stuff they're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all those goals. I'm really excited to collaborate with cool people, and I also have a little hit list of people that I would like to get onto the podcast, and continue to make the podcast better. Other goals go to like having a dedicated podcast studio. I think would be very nice, and also add to that hospitality to our guests, and also in general make the content of our podcast better. I'm excited to up the another goal of mine is to up the production value, and in terms of that, in my head, it's like instead of just using my iPhone to record, having a couple of cameras and having multiple angles. That is something that I'm looking forward to. Just updating, or maybe not updating, upgrading the experience, the content, and the skills that I have for the podcast, and create those relationships, create those collaborations with cool people, and get a sponsorship from, I don't know.
Microsoft.
No, not my.
What's up, Microsoft?
I was gonna say Celsius, but I think I'm gonna stop drinking caffeine all that much.
Yeah.
So, but that's a completely separate thing. Who would you want to get sponsored by? Oh, I got McDonald's. I'd want to get sponsored.
Your dream sponsor?
I would love
Dude,
to get
I have
sponsored
to
by
say,
McDonald's.
I used to have for a while 2 podcasts I listened to every week, and that was The Yard and the Pat Bev Pod. And the Pat Bev Pod at one point got sponsored by McDonald's, and it became unbearable to listen to. Every episode began with them opening a bag of McDonald's and describing, oh yeah, so we just, Roan just stopped at McDonald's, we got 2 quarter pounders, we got some fries here, we got it, and they're like, jump, 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 jump. And then just throughout the podcast, kind of as a bit, they would be like, brought to you by McDonald's. Get the best burger. It tastes so good, so juicy, so. And they were kind of like joking about it, that they would reference it a lot. But I actually stopped listening to it because it was just not. And I mean, good for them. I think they definitely got an absolute bag from that sponsorship. Or there would be like random, injected clips where it's like an audio recording of them in the drive-thru ordering.
That's hilarious. Anyway, we got to wrap this up because this is about to die on us. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you to all the people who submitted a question to be answered. I hope that we did your question justice. Follow us on everything at Changhoff, Changhoff. Follow Citrus Sound Radio. That's our radio show. Citrussound.com, Citrusound.
One S.
One S. Citrus.
Citrussound, 1S.
OUND.
You know what my dream sponsor is?
Who?
You, listener. And I don't even want your money, just your love.
Absolutely.
See ya.
See ya.